Welcome to the Preventative Dance Medicine lecture, Dancing with Hypermobility, which is also my own research area and title of my own doctoral thesis. The lecture is divided into several short parts. Overall, we will be looking at the connection between hypermobility and dance, definitions of hypermobility, heritable connective tissue disorders, the hypermobility spectrum disorders, the prevalence of hypermobility in dance, hypermobility from a biopsychosocial perspective within the dance environment, and we'll also be looking at what we need to know about hypermobility for our own safe practice in dance. So before we go any further, let's look at what connects hypermobility and dance. Hypermobility is a label or a term often used in dance, and it describes something that enables extreme ranges of motion in the joints that are often required for choreography. At a very basic level, it is important as dance practitioners to understand that hypermobility can be acquired or inherent. Acquired hypermobility is observed as an extra range of motion in certain joints that dancers work very hard to achieve in order to perform their art. And the selective increased range of motion through safe practice is protected from injury and instability by the normal tissue in the body. This is, of course, so long as the flexibility training conforms to safe practice and does not violate the tissue involved. Inherent hypermobility results from genetic variance that presents as abnormal and fragile connective tissue. And this tissue has very stretchy properties due to the disordered collagen, and it gives the dancer increased range of motion in the joints without hard work. The fragile tissue associated with inherent hypermobility does not have protective properties, and therefore makes the dancer vulnerable to injury when the tissue is overused or overextended in dance activities. Now I would like you to stop and reflect on the lecture that we had with consultant physiotherapist Bill Taylor, where we discussed strength and flexibility and the necessity for stretching when a body is inherently hypermobile. If the dancers you see in these images are indeed inherently hypermobile, the tissue around the joints that they are overextending will not be protected from weakness and may lead to injury at some point in their careers. What is really interesting is that inherent hypermobility as a disorder of the connective tissue is in fact under the specialism of rheumatology. However, if a dancer is hypermobile, he or she may not have any symptoms other than the great capacity for flexibility and extreme ranges of motion in their joints. Rheumatologists are doctors who investigate, diagnose, manage and rehabilitate patients with disorders of the musculoskeletal system, such as the locomotor apparatus, bone and soft connective tissues. A rheumatologist detects and treats systemic autoimmune conditions, commonly referred to as rheumatic diseases, and also heritable conditions of the connective tissue, such as inherent hypermobility. Yet when something goes wrong and an injury occurs in dance, such as a tendon rupture, dislocation, sprain or break, a dancer will seek help either from the orthopedic or the physiotherapist, as they may not be aware that their flexibility is actually inherent disorder. Sadly, the orthopedic doctor or the physiotherapist may or may not have the same understanding of hypermobility as the rheumatologist, and may focus only on the injury and not the etiology or reason for that injury. So for the second part of this lecture, we'll be looking at inherent hypermobility as it appears in dance.